What the? Rocky Carlos had a fire, and the fire was started with oily rags. Kind of talked about that a while back. They had some rags in here. Oily rags will oxidize. So if you're going to throw a bunch of oily rags in something, it's pretty important to kind of mash them down and don't give enough area in there to accumulate some oxygen, because as they oxidize, it makes heat. When the oil oxidizes, and it just spontaneously combust, and that's what happened. Some rags on the floor in the kitchen caught on fire. No one was there, and pretty big event. Good macaroni and cheese if anybody's ever been there. So oily rags will spontaneously combust. Rags that have solvent on them aren't really an issue in terms of spontaneously combusting, but they're flammable hazards. So make sure with the rags, fellas, we're watching what we do over here. We don't have any containers that are specific to rags with lids. We haven't had a problem, but things come to see you, and that's what happened over there. So just make sure we're doing the right thing when we're disposing of these items. I think I put something else on there about sound. Noise. Noise is energy, right? We're around a lot of noise over here, a lot of energy, and I want to talk about something specific this morning, because one way we can dampen the noise is to put something in our ears. Another way we can dampen the noise is to get a safe distance away from it. The farther away, the lesser the noise. Specific to talking about noise, I want to talk about gouging. What OSHA says, and you guys have heard me talk about it, TWA, a time-weighted average. What OSHA says is, if we're below that time-weighted average, which is 85 decibels, I don't have to require you guys to wear hearing protection all day long. So the way we run our program over here is we know when we cross that threshold that we need to put some earplugs in. Gouging is a very loud operation. So when we get ready to do something, we need to take some things into consideration. It's not just some straight up, we're doing some more work in here. It's some work that's going to affect everybody in this shop. It's some work that, based on the decibel limit of the process, no one person needs to do for 8 hours a day, because we're above our threshold. We're above that time-weighted average with it. So the noise of gouging, if it's a smaller component and it can be moved outside, would greatly help the people in the shop and help the guy that's doing the gouging. If we're going to be gouging for hours, and I think we know that when we're laying out the work, we probably should swap out who's doing the gouging. If you're going to start gouging, you should let others know around you before you start gouging so they can get prepared for it. So I've just noticed we're doing more and more of it. It's in this shop, it's in the other shop, and it's something that a little bit more thought needs to be put into before we get started doing it. And I think we can wind up a lot of times in a better place, unfortunately. A lot of times it's going to take place in here, and we just need to put our earplugs in because we understand that that's loud enough to damage our hearing. So just things to think about, fellas, as we lay out the work. What can we do? What can I do to make this better for me? What can I do to keep from affecting others around me? And we continue to get better with that process, and we'll just always have a little bit tightening up to do. So put some thought into it. Plan it before you do it. We're going to pull it off the right way, I believe, if we do that. Beyond that, everything across the yard is looking good. There's been a couple of situations over here over the past week or so that to me deal with nothing more than repetitive motion, and we see a lot of repetitive motion. That's another one to consider. You're going to have to stop doing what you're doing in closer proximity than doing something that's not going to affect you. So take a look at what you're doing. Stenciling is one thing that you can wind up doing for days over here. So if you're doing it, take more frequent breaks, and while you're taking your break, work your hands, work your muscles, get everything moving around for you. We can't injure ourselves just by repeatedly doing the same thing for an extended amount of time. So watch that. What else, fellas? We were going to do a little card review, but I had a couple of things I needed to talk about, so possibly next Friday. Go ahead.
A lot of work going on in the shop for this law. Y'all watching, y'all going around the front door, they're working on the door over there, don't pass through that area. And they also working on the back door, so aware of that all across the yard.
Both big doors. We'll have some work going on in the machine shop, and then on the other end by the burning table, we're finally fixing some things. So be careful if you have to be in that area. A lot of big components being moved on the yard. So it's real important, because we don't understand from one minute to the next what's going to take place and where we're going to do it, to just be aware of your surroundings when you're out there.
Yeah, I want to say thank Ben. We're come back and help us sometimes we get switched up on that building. It's kind of rough getting that building away, you know, they got your feet up to the floor.
Good job. I think we do a real good job, fellas, around here. Mutual cooperation and trying to help one another out. But it's nice to know that it's appreciated. And yeah, so anybody that moves across the yard from point A to point B works outside of whatever division you're in from time to time. But Lynn's guys work from one end of this yard to the other. You don't ever know where they're going to be, and typically they're into something pretty big. So appreciate it, fellas.
Hey, Brad, from time to time, Everett will probably have 2 trains running, by the BJ machine. So when they're coming around, they just got to be extra careful.
Test machine activity, always be aware of that. Really doesn't slow down around there. Make sure that you look, see if the lights are on, act accordingly if they are. Listen up if we're doing a brake test or we're doing a test we're not sure of. You should see people stationed out there. It's when you, and fellas, it's hard to do, but when you get something in your eyes, if you give it immediate attention, that's when we got our best opportunity for it to not turn into anything more than what it was. Ideally, you get something in your eye, hold your eye closed where you quit blinking and go in there and get it flushed out. But a lot of times we think, oh, it ain't much and it's not going to turn into anything. But if you feel something in your eye, go deal with it. Usually it's as simple as just flushing it and getting it out before it gets embedded. Anybody else? Fellas, we've been getting some different kind of gloves on the yard, and we passed out some high-vis gloves to the night guys. I'm actually thinking about, in terms of gloves for the yard, almost anything we order, we can order high visibility, and I think that's going to be the case. It's easier to see somebody else's hands if they're not paying attention, and for you to alert them, hey, move your hands. So we pass out a few pairs to get feedback on, so I appreciate that. We're trying to get where we need to be in terms of hand protection over here. So appreciate everybody watching. One last thing, I won't be here next Friday because I'll be on a cruise, and I just had to say that. So y'all have a good day, fellas.